Hi there, welcome back to another episode of the Barnabas Bot. So in this video, I want to talk about servo motors. If you look on your top right corner, you're going to see the blue motor. There are going to be 3 of these inside your robot kit. Specifically in this video, I want to talk about the basics of how these motors work and also how to connect them to your noggin. And then in the next few videos, I'm going to show you how to code them to make them actually move. Alright, so let's take our attention to the whiteboard and let's talk about servo motors. Alright, servo motors. So when you think about robotics, there are many different types of motors, but the 2 basic motors that you'll see as you first get started with robotics, they're going to be DC motors and servo motors. So just a quick background, DC motors are going to be motors that you can turn on and they just kind of spin forever, okay? And we're not going to go too much in detail into it, but just so you have some context. So if you think about a motor, for example, a car, right? This is my car here, okay? You're going to want to use DC motors for the wheels because the wheels, in order to go forward or backward, it needs to keep spinning round and round. You can either go forward or also backwards, okay? So this type of motor is called a DC motor. Now we're not going to be using that kind of motor for our projects because we are going to be using servo motors. So the difference about the servo motor and the DC motor is the DC motor, once it turns on, it can kind of go forever as long as you give it power. Again, which is perfect for something like a car. But let's say if you want to have precision, like if you want to go to a specific place, the DC motor is not the best option to go with. You're going to want to use a servo motor. And so let's talk about that. So for a servo motor, it can't go round and round forever. For a servo motor, I'll draw it over here, it can only go half a circle. Okay? So if you look at it, if you go back to the car example, if the wheel could only move half a circle, your car wouldn't be able to go anywhere, right? So a servo motor wouldn't really work out for a car. But if you want to go, let's say this is my half circle over here. Let's say if you want to go to exactly this point, like move to there, or if you want to move to there, or move to there, any of the dots or positions along this half circle, you can do that with a servo motor. So examples of a servo motor, just staying with the car example, let's say if you wanted to create a windshield wiper that goes back and forth and you want it to be able to go to exactly a specific spot along the windshield, a servo motor would be perfect because you can go to any spot and then you don't need to move more than half a circle, right? Like a windshield wiper only has to go to here and then back to there. All right. So let's talk a little bit more in depth now. So if I want to go to a specific place on this half circle, we need to talk about angles. So you may know this already, or you may not know. To go to a specific place on an angle, you need to know about degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and extend this circle to a full circle, okay? And so we know degrees works like this. At the beginning, we start here as the beginning, and when we think about angles, this is going to be 0 degrees. And if you go all the way around, okay, starting from here and go all the way around, it's going to be 360 degrees. So if you start from here and travel this way, all right? And so the way it works out, we can just go ahead and try this out. If you go to this point, which is a quarter of the way. This would be 90. Okay, and you keep traveling another quarter. That's going to be another 90 degrees. So this point would be 180, and you keep going. Another 90 degrees would be 270 degrees. And then add another 90 here, and that equals to 360. Okay, and that's how it works. So that's some context about degrees and how it works when we want to think about servo motors. Now again, the servo motor only works in this blue area, right? Only half a circle. So we're gonna cut it off there. All right, so now that we know that, we know that servo motors move half a circle. It allows us to go anywhere on that circle. So I wrote 0, 90, 180. You could also go, in between here, like the halfway point between 90 and 0. This would be 45 degrees. All right. You can also go anywhere. So let's say you wanted to go to this spot right here, and this is going to be about 3 degrees. Okay, so any degree between 0 and 180. Again, so it's great for something like a windshield wiper if you want to go to a specific spot. For us, we're gonna have we have 2 robot arms, and we also have a head, so it's perfect for that, because we want to be able to move our arm to any position, and then also the head. Okay, so now that we have that, we have servo motors. We also know that it moves half a circle. Which equals 0 to 180 degrees. Okay? Alright, let me move this here. I think I off the screen there. Okay. Alright. So now that we have that, it's gonna make more sense when we start doing code, okay? So as I mentioned, we have 2 heads, sorry, not 2 heads, 2 arms and a head. So when we move an arm, let's say, we want to move it to one spot. We're gonna say let's go for example to 180, okay? And if we want to move it back to the beginning, we would say let's move it to 0. And if you want to move it back to the exact same spot as it was before, we go to 180. Okay? And so as we play with these different angles, we can make the arm do different waves. For example, if you want to do a full wave, we can go 180 to 0 because that's the full motion, right? But if we wanted to go just like a half wave, we can just go 180 to 9, 180 to 90. 180 to 90. Okay, so it'll make more sense. It'll be more fun once we start coding and seeing it move, but I want to give you a little bit of a background here on the servo motor. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is actually the wiring here. All right, so let's look at this, our motor here. I want you to notice that there is this cable that is coming out of here, and we have 3 different colors, right? We have brown, red, and orange. Okay, so let's see if we can get this here. Okay, we have brown. You know what? I'm just gonna use black or brown. We have red. And I'll go with orange here. Okay. Okay. So black for me, red, and orange. So these need to connect to our noggin using this black connector here. And the way it works is that brown or black is ground. The red is going to be connected to 5 volts. Okay, so these 2 signals, the ground and 5 volts, that's going to be the power for the motor. Okay. Now, the orange is going to be, I like to call it S for signal. So the orange is that extra wire that you need, and it's like the nerve that controls what angle your servo motor is going to move to. Okay. And so when we connect it, we're going to keep track. We want to make sure we keep track of the signal, or the orange nerve, because that's the pin on the computer code that we're going to use to control that specific motor. Okay, so all three motors are going to be all connected to G and 5E. That's going to be the same. The only difference for each motor is going to be the orange signal. It's going to have its own pin number, which is what we're going to have to reference when we want to move that specific motor. All right, so let's go ahead and check out our noggin. And I'm going to change our screen here. All right, here we go. All right. And I want you to notice on the noggin, there are these groups of 3 pins. All right. These are the servo motor pins that have been designed specifically for the servo motors. And I want you to notice the white writing next to all the pins. 3VG on that one. And then we also have a 9VG, an 11VG, and a 10VG. So we're going to use the three that we're going to use is 9VG, 10VG, and 11VG. Okay. So what we want to do, I want you to get your robot. All right. And here's my robot here. All right, and it's kind of zoomed in here, but your robot's gonna be, however you decorated it. All right, but I want you to get your robot, and I want you to look through this hole right here. Okay, and I want you to look and find your head motor wire. So you got 3 cables coming out here, right? So you kind of look into there, and then see, okay, which the head is up here, right? So this motor here, find the cable for that. Okay, and then we're going to get it. So here's mine. It's off screen, but this cable is for the motor head, or head motor, and I want you to stick that one into 9VG. Now when we put it in, we want to keep track of what we learned about the signals, right? The brown, or I wrote it, I colored it as black, but the brown is G, or ground. So we gotta make sure it matches up with the G. Okay, and then you see the red goes with the V, and then the orange goes for the signal, which is 9 in this case. Okay, so this is the head motor. Go ahead and put it in. All right, so we got the head motor is going to be on 9. Then I want you to look at your robot again, and then I want you to look at let's look at the robot's right arm, which would be this one right here. Take the robot's right arm, find the motor, and then I want you to put it into 10. Excuse me. Okay. So same idea, but we're going to go into 10. Again, we're matching up orange to the number, and brown to G, and red to V. Okay, and then we have the last motor. That's going to be the left one. We're going to connect that, the left arm motor, to 11. Here we go. There we go. All right, and again, just making sure Orange goes with a number, red goes with V, and brown goes with G. Alright, so now that we're all wired up here, okay, we are going to learn how to code these things. Alright, and we will do that in the next video.